All right, good evening, everybody. We have some late night West Coast style hockey tonight. Game time is going to be estimated around 9:40 or 9:45 tonight. The previous game has about 3 minutes remaining in the third period in a one-goal game. So we're going to leave you in the lobby for a little bit as the Zamboni comes out onto the ice after this game is over and gets the ice ready. We are back outdoors in very chilly DeForest, Iowa, or DeForest, Wisconsin. My mistake. Don't quite have the snow globe effect going tonight, but it is dark, it is windy, it is chilly, and the team is ready for an excellent hockey game after having a very productive game this morning at 8 a.m. with an 11-0 victory. Looking to wrap up group play in the MLK Madison Classic tonight with a game versus St. Peter's out of St. Louis. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good evening again, everybody. We are coming to you from very, very chilly DeForest, Wisconsin. It is a very balmy 16 degrees outside. Just a little bit of flurries in the air to give us a little bit of atmosphere. Zamboni is heading off the ice, and we are going to get ready for some late night West Coast style Pee Wee hockey. Only thing we have left to find are some officials to be able to get the nets set up and be able to get us started tonight. Coincidentally, we are also missing a scorekeeper, so hopefully scorekeeper heads over there pretty soon, gets the clock reset so that we are fully ready to go. This is game 3 of group play in the MLK Madison tournament. Based upon the standings, it looks like the Roughriders are going to be playing in the Blue Division Championship game tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the indoor rink of this DeForest Legacy20 Ice Arena. We'll get a stream scheduled for that shortly after we are done tonight. But for tonight, it is cold, it is dark, it is windy, and the kids are ready to play some outdoor hockey. Starting goalie for your Rough Riders tonight, who will be in their white jerseys, is Iris Erickson. Iris had a pretty darn good game this morning, earning a shutout against the Chicago River Dogs. Officials have joined the line that is trying to get onto the ice. Kids need to let the officials pass so that things can be meeting standards. And we can get this game started because this is past not only my bedtime, but all of these kids' bedtime. All right, we've got our scorekeeper, we've got our officials. They are currently getting the nets set. Ice is looking pretty okay tonight. A little bit better than last night when there was a constant snowfall that made very big piles on the ice that made it really hard to see the puck. You guys from Cedar Rapids? Okay. We are. Teams are on the ice. Iris is out in her solid black leg pads, blocker, and catcher with her white base helmet with some black and green accents. Rough Riders today are going to be in their white jerseys. St. Peter's is playing in their dark blues. I believe I've seen 2 St. Peter's goalies out there, so it's a little hard to tell who's going to be the starter today. Both are wearing white leg pads, blocker, and catcher. Only difference that you can really tell in them is that one has a toque on and the other does not. About 90 seconds remaining in our warm-up period here. Rough Riders have had a nice 13-hour break since their last game. St. Peter's played earlier today as well, but I believe around 11 a.m. However, your Rough Riders did have to get up early this morning for an 8 a.m., so not sure if that's going to have anything to do with the late game tonight or not. We're just going to have to wait and find out. 30 seconds remaining in the warm-up period here. Both Rough Riders teams have victories today. The 12U Green team is sitting at 2-0 in their bracket. They play again tomorrow morning at 7:15 in the morning. So it's going to be an early morning for that group. And then they find out their second game schedule based upon how they do in the first game. Please remember to like and subscribe that channel as well. If you don't know how to find it, contact any of us on the team and we'll be able to help you out. Teams are getting ready for our opening face-off. Looks like for St. Peter's, the goalie with the toque is going to be your starter today. We'll get opening lineups as soon as the Rough Riders break their huddle. Looks like it is going to rhyme very closely with the lines that were shown earlier today. We have Jackson Jerv, Clara Domke, and George Lanyo, along with Gavin Sebring and Jackson Hunt, or Jackson Baker. Unfortunately, officials have not noticed an open door. Hopefully it does not come into play. Jackson Baker popping it into the zone. Behind the St. Peter's net, Clara Domke putting on some very good pressure. George Lanyo almost with a steal. Puck back up to the blue line. Across. Jackson Baker in the way, blocked a shot. Unfortunately, to another St. Peter's stick. Shot saved by Iris Erickson. And they just did notice that the door was open, so we'll get that closed. Apologies for the laggy camera. The cold weather has gotten my brain working a little bit slowly today, so we're going to try to do better as we go forward. Looking like we've got the Kettleson Elliott Palmer line out, along with Johnson and Smith. Face-off controlled by St. Peter's, up to the point. Shot comes beside the net. Off of Kettleson's skates. Kettleson able to steal it. Got a 3-on-1 developing. Kettleson in the middle. Backhand shot off of the goalie. Out to the wing, up to Liam Smith at the point. Shot comes across, not quite in Jack Kettleson's reach. Jack pops it back around behind the net. Up to the wing with Liam Smith on it. Liam with the puck, passes it up to DJ Elliott. DJ with a backhand that is collected by the goalie and then put behind the net. St. Peter's skating it up. Off of a stick to Maverick. Up to Corbin Zek. Corbin puts himself offsides. And we have a stoppage in play. Zach between Hunt and Monty. Rasmussen and Sebring out on the decor. Face-off controlled by St. Peter's. Jackson Hunt on the forecheck, trying to cause some trouble. Puck into the zone. Jackson Hunt bring it into the corner that I can't really see anything. St. Peter's has it behind the net. Corbin Zek able to steal the puck off. St. Peter's continues with it, out of Wyatt Monty's reach. Dumped into the zone. Gavin Sebring going to be first on it. Passes it up to Maverick, passes it up again. Doesn't quite get to Wyatt Monty's stick. Now out of the zone. Couple of forecheckers coming in hard. St. Peter's able to get it back into the zone. Corbin Zek now with the puck, skating it in 2-on-2. Pass across to Jackson Hunt, but he's got a couple of St. Peter's players on them as the rest of the Roughriders were making a line change behind the play. Dumped into the zone. Maverick first on it. Passes it up to a wing where there unfortunately was nobody. Liam Smith with it. Passes it up towards George Lanio, but misses Roughriders. Backhander up beside the net. Backhand up to Jackson Jerv. Jackson Jerv over to George Lanio, misses his stick, but gets out of the zone. St. Peter's able to recover and bring it back in. Nifty little toe drag. Backhand shot goes up and over. Jackson Jerv with the puck, rings it around towards George Lanio's wing. St. Peter's there first, though. Puck is almost stolen by Jackson Hunt. Get off to the side. Jackson Jerv with it. And we've got a penalty being called. Looks like Jackson Hunt going to the box. Because it is crazy cold outside, I am not going to be updating the score bug with penalties today. Roughriders going on to their first penalty kill of the game. Face-off is controlled by Jack Kettleson, but then off of his stick to a St. Peter's player. Breck tries to clear it out, but only finds a St. Peter's stick. Breck able to clear it out again, and we're going to have a puck going down for icing. One minute and 11 seconds remaining in the penalty. 7.5 minutes remaining in the first period here. Face-off control by St. Peter's. A shot goes beside the net. Maverick Rasmussen first on it. Trying to shield the puck and bring it around. Onto Jack Kettleson's stick. Bounce to Liam Smith. Back to Jack Kettleson. Couple of players coming in fast on Jack. He got hauled down. And we have a penalty for a hooking. Now on to some 4-on-4 play for the next 50 seconds. Zach and Monty out on the 4-on-4, along with Sebring and Baker. Little issue on the scoreboard showing both penalties on the same side when it should be 4-on-4. Scorekeeper's working on getting that updated. And then they took down the wrong penalty. So we'll see if we can get this all sorted out. Should be 51 seconds remaining on the penalty to the Roughriders and a full minute 30 to the St. Peter's player. All right, scoreboard's now updated. Face off controlled by Cedar Rapids. Up to the point. Baker able to keep it in, tries to get it in, but intercepted by St. Peter's. Now everyone needs to hustle back. Corbin able to knock the puck off and get things back under control. Gavin Sebring behind the net. Jackson Baker with the puck. Pass wasn't quite hard enough to get all the way up to Corbin. And then Wyatt Monty has an issue with hanging onto it as well. St. Peter's able to reclaim the puck. Rough Riders back to full strength. Puck off of a St. Peter's stick. Gavin Sebring has control of it, taking it behind the net. Pass goes up, but off of the St. Peter's player. And the referee ended up getting right in the middle of the play. Dumped in by Cedar Rapids. St. Peter's pass up, intercepted. Shot tried to go in, but didn't quite get it all the way there. Another shot attempt. Looks like it was blocked into the corner. Unfortunately, that's the corner I can't see anything in. Shot comes in off of the goalie into the corner. Liam Smith missed a interception attempt. Able to collect it though. To Corbin Zek. Corbin tries to get a little bit further, but it's stuck on the side of the net. Loose puck still. Jackson Hunt able to get it, but not quite out of the zone. Liam able to grab it, passes it up, doesn't quite connect, and St. Peter's has the puck again. Maverick with the puck, skating it behind the net, trying to look for some time and space, and it gets deflected up into the netting. And we have a face-off to the blocker side of the Cedar Rapids goalie. Face-off, control to Cedar Rapids. Gavin Sebring taking it behind the net. Pass up to Jackson Turf, but off of his stick. Clara Domke in a race for the puck, though, going to win it. Shot comes in, off. Jackson Jerf tries to get it in, but his shot missed as well. Puck controlled by St. Peter's. Pass comes back in. Jackson Jerf trying to get it deeper into the zone. And a big mess in front of the net. Puck dumped all the way down for an icing. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the first period here. Got a 0-0 game going. Face off controlled by Cedar Rapids. Shot from the point. Goal! Goal from Gavin Sebring. Bomb from the point. Gets through. It is 1-0 Roughriders. Ensuing faceoff is controlled by your Roughriders. Maverick trying to skate in, but ended up with a little bit of contact, and the puck ended up going into the corner. Ellis pops it up, but finds a St. Peter's stick. And DJ gets his first penalty of the day for a slashing. Second penalty kill for your Roughriders. 3 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the first period here. Waiting on the scorekeeper to get the time up on the clock, and now it is there. Faceoff is controlled by St. Peter's up to the point. Went point to point. Shot blocked by Jack Kettleson. That looks like that stung a little bit. Another shot blocked. And shot missed. Great job by Iris keeping the net covered. Jack Kettleson able to steal the puck. Got a 2-on-2 if they hurry. Jack keeps control of the puck into the side. Tries a backhand pass into the middle. Another shot goes in, but doesn't quite make it all the way to the net. Corbin Zek tries to steal the puck, but doesn't quite get it. Puck still onside. Corbin dumps it to the other side, just finishing up a line change. Puck comes across to a St. Peter's player. Rush stopped by Cedar Rapids. Jackson Hunt coming back the other way. Tries a shot, but misses off of the goalie's pad. Tries to get another shot in, but that gets saved by the goalie as well. And penalty is over. Wyatt Monty able to steal a puck. Jackson Hunt able to pump it back into the zone. St. Peter's able to regain control. Back to Jackson Baker. Baker up to Wyatt Monty. Wyatt gets a little touch on it. No icing. St. Peter's has it in their defensive zone. Corbin Zek first on the forecheck. Pass up was off of Wyatt's stick, but not able to be controlled. Maverick keeping control of it. Less than a minute remaining. St. Peter's bringing it out of the zone. Maverick having to get on his horse. Passes it over to Gavin Sebring. Passes it up to Jackson Hunt. Jackson gets a stick on it into the offensive zone. Cedar Rapids gets control of it in the neutral zone. Dumps it back in. No icing again. Now getting on their forecheck, Jackson Jerv. Able to knock the puck loose. And then a misplay ends up getting to Gavin Sebring. Passes it up to George Lanyo, but we're going to be out of time. It is your first intermission. Roughriders are leading 1-0. Really good first period from your Roughriders. forecheck has been on point today. The passing hasn't been quite as good, but they do have that 1-0 lead, and that is a positive thing. It is still cold, it is still windy, but the snow is holding off for us right now. Interestingly enough, I heard during the game last night that someone decided to start a drinking game based upon as many times as I said snow. And I hear that it was a very, very interesting game to play. So we're going to try to remove that word from the vocabulary and see if we can get through the rest of the night without using it. Second period about to get started here. Looks like we have the jerk line out. And scorebook is updated. Mr. Referee, let's drop that puck. Faceoff is controlled by Cedar Rapids. Pass from George Lanio up to Clara Domke. Clara dumps it into the zone. Cedar Rapids able to maintain control of it for a second, up to the point. A little bit of a misplay causes a turnover. St. Peter's bringing it into the zone, but Gavin Sebring is going to be first on it, skates it around the net, tries to get it up onto a wing, but there's nobody else there. Gavin back around the net and reverses direction, passes it up and to Jackson Turf. Jackson tries to get it out of the zone and does, gets popped up. Now puck back to him, tries to start skating forward with it, gets lost in his feet a little bit. George Lanio able to pump it deeper and icing. Play is going to come down to the Cedar Rapids defensive zone. And we've got a full line change going. Looks like we have the Kettleson line coming out along with Liam and Breck Johnson. Face-off is controlled back to St. Peter's. Shot gets saved by Iris Erickson. Puck comes to TJ Elliott in the middle, looking for somewhere to go with it. Passes it to Jack Kettleson. Jack bringing it into the zone, tries to get it across to Ellis Palmer, but it gets intercepted. Jack takes it behind the net, tries to get it all the way across to TJ, but it does not get through. Too many St. Peter's players in the way. St. Peter's coming back into the zone, but very nicely taken to the corner and out of any trouble. Ellis is able to pop it to himself. Got a 2-on-2 going on, but Ellis having a little trouble controlling the puck. And it's now a 3-on-1 that Cedar Rapids is able to very neatly take care of. Shot comes in off of Iris's pads. Now it's into that corner again that I can't see anything on, so we will make the best of trying to figure out what's going on. Puck over to Ellis Palmer. Ellis trying to handle it into the zone. Pass comes in, but doesn't find a Cedar Rapids stick. Temporarily able to get it to stay in. Jack Kettleson with the puck again. Skating it in, but had it fall off of his stick. Shot comes in off of the goalie's stick into the corner. And we have an offside Cedar Rapids. Face-off is controlled by Cedar Rapids. Jackson Hunt trying to get it in deep. Off the goalie's stick into the corner. St. Peter's got it behind the net. Cedar Rapids sending their forecheck up. Jackson Baker able to pump it down lower. Roughriders getting that forecheck reestablished. Shot comes in, blocked by a defender in front. Monty tries to send it across. Another shot comes in, goes off of a couple players and then behind the net. Puck comes out to the blue line and dumps deep into the zone and not quite far enough for icing. Maverick Rasmussen on it. Reverses direction, ends up getting it out. Pass up to Jackson Hunt. He loses control of it to St. Peter's, and now we've got an odd man rush coming. Fortunately, the St. Peter's player had a little trouble keeping his feet, and the puck is now down low. Puck into that corner that it's hard to see. Shot comes in, saved by Iris. Jackson Hunt with the puck, able to get it into the zone, helping his team have a change. Rough Riders a little slow on that change, getting an odd man rush coming in, but people were able to get back quickly enough to be able to neutralize the play. Shot comes in, saved by Iris to behind the net. Liam Smith into the corner to retrieve it. Tries to get it up hard, but doesn't quite get out of the zone. Puck comes all the way across. Blocked to Gavin Sebring. Gavin Sebring brings it around the boards, trying to get it out so the Cedar Rapids can get a change. But no luck there. Back down below to St. Peter's. Big save by Iris. And an offside comes very thankfully for the Rough Riders, as that was an incredibly long shift for a couple of players. 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the second period here. The Jerf line coming out along with, looks like Maverick and Breck Johnson. Face off controlled by St. Peter's. Knocked out of the zone though. But St. Peter's still has control. George Lanio in on the forecheck as your first forechecker in. Pass blocked by Jackson Jerf and then intercepted off of Clara Domke's stick. And we have another offside. Wind is starting to pick up a little bit. Face off controlled by Cedar Rapids, but just dumped to a St. Peter's player and then dumped into the zone. Jackson Jerf coming in with the puck. Takes it to the middle, trying to make something happen. Unfortunately knocked off of his stick with no shot happening. Jackson Jerf with it again. Shot comes in off of the goalie into the corner. Maverick able to keep it in. Jackson Hunt able to keep it in again. Pass attempt into the middle, but gets knocked off. St. Peter's clears it out of their own zone. And we're going to have an offside here. Face-off controlled by Jack Kettleson. Jack tries to get it through a couple of players, but no dice. Goes D to D for your Roughriders. Up to Ellis. Up to Jack Kettleson. Jack Kettleson passes it over to Ellis. Tries to get it in. Oh, off of the goalie again. Jack Kettleson being a magic maker with the puck. Shot comes in off of DJ's skates. Roughriders trying to keep it in. Ends up with a St. Peter's defender. Ellis with a block of a pass. Ellis tries to get a shot in. DJ with it. Tries a backhand. Doesn't quite get in. Comes right back to him, though. Dumps it further in for Ellis. Ellis tries to get it into the middle. Up to Gavin Sebring. Shot on net. Back to Gavin Sebring. Jack Kettleson with the puck again. Shot goes to the goalie, but doesn't quite go in. Still loose behind the net. Up to Gavin Sebring. Gavin up to Jack Kettleson. Lost it a little bit along the boards. Puck dumped in. St. Peter's is going to be first on it, though. Pass up to Jackson Hunt. Ends up out of the zone. Wyatt Monty putting on a really good forecheck. And puck dumped back into the zone. Roughriders trying to get that forecheck back established. Hunt tries a shot from the side, ends up not connecting. Liam knocks it off of a St. Peter's player and gets it back, pumps it back right into the zone. St. Peter's goes D to D, finds an open spot on the wing, but Breck Johnson grabs it. Jackson Hunt gets it over to Corbin Zek into the goalie's glove, and we're going to have a stoppage here. 2 minutes and 1 second remaining in the second period. Based upon standings, it is very likely that these two teams are going to be playing again at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Turf line is out there. Face off, controlled by St. Peter's. Turns into an odd man rush. Shot goes up and over the net. Great save by Iris Erickson, staying nice and big. Cedar Rapids working on getting it out of the zone. Jackson Jerf with it. Taken down a little bit behind the net. Or into the boards. But it looks like they was called offside. Up. Yes penalty, no penalty. Looks like no penalty. 1 minute and 35 seconds remaining in the second period here. Apologies for all the coughing. I've been sick for the last couple of weeks, and it's been hard to shake. Puck got dumped into the Roughriders offensive zone. George Lanyo misses on a pass. Breck dumps it in further. Jackson Jerf on the forecheck. Ends up running into a little bit of trouble. Puck bumped out of the zone. Over to Breck Johnson. Breck tries to get it up. Ooh. Player kind of came in and submarined Clara. Puck is now into the zone, though. Jack Kettleson gets it back. 40 seconds remaining in the second period. Puck knocked off of the St. Peter's stick. Up to Jack Kettleson. Jack gets it into the zone. Shot comes in and out of the goalie's glove. Jack starting on the forecheck again. Gets a steal. Gets it knocked off of his stick, but then he comes in to get it back. 15 seconds remaining. Ellis Palmer coming in to get it. Tries to dump it into the front of the net. And that is the end of the second period here. We are in the second intermission in a very tight 1-0 game. It is still incredibly cold out here. No real precipitation, though. But a very exciting game between these two teams that'll get really familiar with each other, as I do believe they are playing it tomorrow. Things wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for that darn wind. All right, face off. Started the third period, controlled by St. Pete's. But Cedar Rapids was able to steal it and get it into the offensive zone. Back to Ravik Rasmussen. Shot comes off of Jack Kettleson's stick on a tip and over the net. St. Peter's able to bring it out. Gavin able to break up the rush. Ellis Palmer with this puck now coming into the zone. Dumps it in on the goalie. And goalie has it covered. Face-off control by Cedar Rapids. Shot goes wide of the net from George Lanyo. George starting the forward check. Puck dumped out to Breck Johnson. Breck looking for somewhere to go. Finds Jerf's stick. Then finds George's stick. Now back to Breck's stick. On to Clara's stick. Gets it into the zone. Rung around the boards. George Lanyo able to help keep the play in the offensive zone. And that's going to be a penalty on Clara Domke. Got her stick stuck in a St. Peter's player skates and hauled them down. Face off, controlled by Cedar Rapids. Gavin Sebring takes it behind the net, rings it around the boards, but doesn't get it out. Rung back down by St. Peter's. Corbin first on it, tries to get it up. Jackson unable to skate it out of the zone, gets it across the red line, and dumps it in deep. And offside, Cedar Rapids. 42 seconds remaining in the penalty to Clara. Face off, controlled by St. Peter's. Dumps to a little bit of an open wing to Breck Johnson. Breck pops it back up to Jackson Baker. Puck then stolen by Jack Kettleson. Jack able to skate it in. And then back out to Liam and dumped in offside. 11 seconds remaining in this penalty. Feels like one of the slowest penalties to go in a while. 9 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the third period. Shot blocked by Liam Smith. Another shot comes through off of Iris's pads. Penalty is now over. And Cedar Rapids was able to get it out of the zone, but offside. Eight minutes and 53 seconds remaining in the third period. Face-off is controlled by St. Peter's into the corner. Off of some feet. Gavin Sebring with it, rings it around to Maverick. Maverick rings it up towards Jackson Turf, but it bounces over his stick. Shot blocked by Gavin Sebring. Save off of Iris. Maverick coming up with the puck, trying to get it a little bit deeper. Pass goes up to Maverick. Shot comes in. And it is a goal! I have no idea how that exactly went in, but it is goal Cedar Rapids. Not sure if it went in on the original shot or if Clara went in and cleaned up some garbage. Either way, it doesn't really matter. With 7 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in the third period, it is 2 for your Cedar Rapids Roughriders, 0 for St. Peter's. Face off, controlled by Cedar Rapids to Clara Domke. Bounced off of her stick back to Liam Smith. Liam looking for somewhere to go. And we have a penalty getting called. Jack Kettleson got leveled by a St. Peter's player. Roughriders going on to the power play. Best way to make that kind of thing stop happening is to start scoring some power play goals. Face-off controlled by Cedar Rapids. And shot on net, saved by the St. Peter's goalie. Good shot from the point. Important save for St. Peter's. And 6 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Issue with the penalty clock again. All right, face-off looks like it is controlled by St. Peter's. Run around the boards. Liam Smith's able to get there, but doesn't get really any deeper. Stuck in some feet. Jackson Hunt trying to get it deeper, but ends up finding only St. Peter's sticks. And now that everybody needs to hurry as there's an odd man rush coming. Big save by Iris. Onto Corbin Zeck's stick. Up to Jackson Baker. But St. Peter's is able to regain control. Out of the Roughriders defensive zone. St. Peter's dumps it back in, but Breck Johnson has it on his stick. Pass up off of a couple of sticks. Looks like no icing getting called. St. Peter's has it behind their net, and their penalty has just expired. Saved by the goalie. And we have a stoppage at 5 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the third period here. Kettleson line back out. Puck controlled by St. Peter's, but up only to the point for Cedar Rapids. Puck coming around to Jack Kettleson. Jack tries to swing it all the way across to Ellis Palmer, but it doesn't hit his stick. Jack gets it behind the net. Trying to find some time and space, but it ends up out of the zone. Back onto Jack's stick. Too many St. Peter's players around. DJ's able to then steal it. Gets hauled down from behind. Jack's able to reclaim it, though. Jack now skating out. Shot comes in. And goal! Jack's shot was just too hard for the goalie, off of his glove and into the net. It is Roughriders 3, St. Peter's 0. 4 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the third period here. Ensuing faceoff controlled by the Roughriders. Dumped into the zone. Clear is going to be first on the forecheck. George Lanyo has it in the corner. Rings it back around. Clara Domke is racing hard after it. Has control for a second, but then knocked off of her stick. Now over to Liam. Liam passes it up towards George. Misses his stick, though, and we have an icing. 3 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in the third period here. It is late, it is cold, it is windy. Let's just get this game over with, Rough Riders. Face-off is controlled by St. Peter's. Shot comes in off of Liam Smith. Rung around the net onto Clara Domke's stick, but then lost in the snow a little bit. And St. Peter's is able to bring it back in. Clara able to get it out again. Now onto George Lanio's stick. Gets it deeper into the zone. Gavin Sebring able to retrieve a loose puck in the zone. Does a hard turn. Gets it out of his feet. Passes it up and across. Rough Riders able to finally get it out of the zone. But now it's right back in with Jackson Turf. Passes it over to Gavin Sebring. Passes it around again to Maverick Rasmussen. Pulls it off the boards. Gets it out of the zone. And offside. 2.5 minutes remaining in this third period. Your Rough Riders are leading 3-0. Face off. Back to the Rough Riders D. Go D to Liam. Pass it up off of a St. Peter's set of skates. Offside again. This game is turning into a very, very station-to-station kind of game where it goes from one zone, then a stoppage, then the next zone, then a stoppage, and then another zone, and then a stoppage. Face-off controlled by Jackson Hunt. Dumps it into the St. Peter's end. Rough Riders getting their forecheck set up. Wyatt Monty able to stop play along the boards. Clock ticking down to 2 minutes in the third period. Puck goes up to the point. Shot comes in off of the goalie's pads. Loose puck in front of the net. And goal! Rough Riders get a dirty goal in front of the net. This is something they had a lot of trouble with earlier today, where there were pucks in the crease all over the place in the first game, but they were not able to put them in. In this game, they certainly have been. Rough Riders 4, St. Peter's 0. Face-off is controlled by the Rough Riders now. Jack Peddleson with the puck. Dumped into the zone. Stopped, though, in the boards. Puck only able to get to the point. Friendly fire shot ends up on a St. Peter's stick. Puck gets out of the zone. Not hard enough for icing, though. Puck gets dumped in further. And yet another offside. 38 seconds remaining in the third period here. Face-off controlled by St. Peter's. 30 seconds remaining. Shot goes wide of the net. Controlled by Clara Domke. Now over to Maverick Rasmussen. And we've got a penalty coming for a trip. 15 seconds remaining in the game. Roughriders are going to be going on to a power play. Face-off controlled by St. Peter's, then dumped further into the zone by a Cedar Rapids player. Shot blocked into the corner. Up to the point. Shot goes in, and that is game. Your Cedar Rapids 12U Black Roughriders are 3-0 on the weekend. Going into an 11 a.m. game tomorrow, likely against this very same team. It is cold, so we're going to be stopping this stream early. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you all tomorrow morning.